G'day, Professor Joseph Drew. I was reading through the proofs of my book. Now, if you've ever written a book, this is one of the most awful tasks that you have to do. Right at the end, you send it off to the company and they edit it, often change things to the wrong things. You need to read through and make sure everything's in the right place. Terrible job. But anyway, I was reading through my book, Creating Human Value, and thinking to myself, you know what? You guys would probably enjoy some of this material in videos. And this particular video is on the proper function of governments, according to Plato, as articulated in the laws. And it's really interesting about what the greatest philosophers ever thought government should do and compare it to what our governments actually are doing. So I hope you enjoy this. So this is basically Benjamin Jowlett's the three things he said Plato was saying in the laws, and I agree. He said that Plato thought the purpose of government was to inculcate virtue and hence create the conditions required for eudaimonia. And I need to explain both of those terms. Virtue is not what most people think colloquially. Virtue is just the disposition, the habitual disposition to act according to reason. Reason, being able to use our brains, is what sets us apart from every other animal on this planet. And Plato and Socrates and Aristotle and De Aquino and Maimonides and lots of famous philosophers thought that, this is the function of the human, to use their brain, and that we should do it. And eudaimonia is not what a lot of people think it is either. Certainly not what J.S. Mill thought it was. Eudaimonia literally means good spirit. Eudaimon. It's not happiness. It's not mere happiness. If the purpose of government was mere happiness, they should be funding, brothels, meth labs and all sorts of things, because that makes people happy in a hedonistic sense. If the purpose of government is good spirit, having a good, worthwhile life, flourishing as a human being, well, then you would be funding very different things. Number two, according to Plato and the Laws, and I should say as an aside, the Laws was written right at the end of Plato's life. It's very, very different to his earlier well-known work, where he's a little bit more optimistic about things and inclined to propose more radical remedies such as these philosopher kings. Anyway, number two, identify objective and intelligible moral standards into law. Okay, so Plato believed that there were objective truths and that you could find these things and they were intelligible to other people, and that these objective moral standards should actually be codified into our laws. And the third thing he was very big on was pursuing knowledge, that our leaders should pursue knowledge and then educate the citizenry. Now, interesting, Aquinas, in his work, said much the same thing. That was one of the key tasks of a leader, was to educate and teach the community about eudaimonia and about what they were doing and why. So the question is, do we measure up? Now, I'm not thinking here of local government, because most councillors I've met are really, really trying to do these things. I'm thinking more about our state politicians and our federal politicians, which I have a very big problem with. On the whole, there's great ones, but there's a lot of not so great ones. And I guess because they're so prominent, we see them more in the media and we see the bad stories. But anyway, do we measure up? That is the question. So, are we teaching virtue and creating the conditions necessary for eudaimonia? In my book, I go through the suicide statistics going way back to when they were first recorded. And more people are committing suicide than ever before. Now, that's despite the fact that we now have better at committing suicide successfully. That's despite the fact that we have better medical treatments, that we have massive intervention programs, massive programs to improve mental health and to intervene, from school age onwards, despite the fact that euthanasia is now legalised and no longer counted as a suicide. And yet, despite all this, the numbers are going up. Now, is government to blame for that? No, they're not. But if the purpose of government is for people to flourish, and we have more people saying, look, there's no hope, I can't possibly flourish, and taking drastic action, well, then it's hard to argue that government's been a stunning success. Think about virtue. Virtue is something I saw a lot more of 50 years ago when I was a kid than what I do see today, particularly since COVID. Virtue fell off the side of a cliff, and we have now a viciousness epidemic in Australia, and it's really, really scary when you think about your future, particularly if you have children of school age, high school age, like mine. Really worried about them. You get to the tipping point where more people are vicious than virtuous. It's a bit like a classroom. I'm a former school teacher. When it's all over and you don't get it back, and we're at the point where we're about to lose control. The police don't seem that interested in enforcing the law, or incapable of enforcing it. I'm not sure. We've got more laws than ever before, but the viciousness epidemic is a real concern. In terms of our politicians wanting to learn and then wanting to teach the community, that's a real worry. One instance I've talked about before, there's inquiries into local government financial sustainability. If you look at Google Scholar, you'll see that I'm one of the leaders in this field. I'm in Australia. I made a submission. I was called to neither of the state inquiries nor the federal government inquiry. They don't want to learn. A lot of politicians don't want to answer questions. I've had one of them tell me how happy they are when I talk about the fact that my health is poor and I can't see myself working full time for more than a year or so. They'll be happy to see the back of me. Now, I don't go out of my way to attack anyone. I just put out information, put out fact, do research. That's sometimes inconvenient. We had state governments intervening, trying to get me to stop doing particular research. I don't think any of those things are particularly evil. What I would like our politicians to do is actually them go out and seek the knowledge. Them go out and talk to experts in the field, whatever the field might happen to be. Spend lots of time reading, spend lots of time thinking. And thinking about the people, as Socrates said, not merely the people, the governments and people's possessions. So we're not really measuring up there either, are we? So it's a bit of a concern when you think about what arguably the most famous philosopher ever said government should be doing, and you reflect on what we're actually doing. And it's no wonder to me that any older Australian will say that they're really, really worried about the direction that this country has taken and is taking, and the shape it's taken compared to what we had. We had it so good 20, 30, 40 years ago. And I did miss one point in that last slide. You might have heard me pausing, trying to think about it, was codifying objective moral standards. Well, our current lawmakers in our parliaments don't seem to adhere to things that were considered objective truths through all of recorded humanity. I'm not going to get into particular topics because it will land me in all sorts of strife, but there were things that everyone considered were just facts for thousands of years, and now they're not facts. They can be between those facts or refute those facts entirely. And that is a bit of a worry if they can't see objective truth or deny that there is actually objective truth. Because most traditions, most philosophical traditions, the law itself, when it came to the Nuremberg trials, the law itself has been most adamant that there are objective truths in nature, whether we like it or not. And there are objective truths in humanity through the jus gentium, whether we like it or not. And yet our legislators are either unaware of it or they're refuting what has been considered to be the case for thousands and thousands of years. So, next steps. Well, we need our best and our brightest and our best thinkers and our most moral people and the people who think about what is right and what is wrong and what is the best life and what is eudaimonia. We need those people to step up, to start talking to politicians and ideally to become politicians. Now, quite frankly, when I look at the group of people we have running this country, I wonder how many of them would make it into Plato's Nocturnal Council. There's very few deep thinkers there. I'm not sure that we have the best and the brightest in this country leading this country, and if we don't, I'm not sure how we expect to get good outcomes. So it's up to all of us, and I wonder whether the best and brightest would step up. I was asked to run for council, and I didn't. Often, and I'm not suggesting I'm the best and the brightest, but I'm certainly got skills in that area, but often the people are too busy, they're engaged with other things, or they're not willing to take a back step on particular moral positions or particular ideals, or they're not willing to get into murky name-calling politics. So that's a worry too. But we've got to get more people to step up, and I guess I'm one of the people that should have, and I didn't. So I'm not speaking from experience on that matter. The other thing we need to do is stop thinking about the city's possessions and start thinking about the people who make up the cities. That's what Socrates told us on his deathbed, according to Plato's Death Dialogues. It's what I cover throughout the whole book, Creating Human Value. If you listen to my other videos, you know I hate creating public value because it's about people. It's about human people, not things and not dollars. And I think we need to reorientate our policy making and our politics accordingly. Look, I hope this video gave you food for thought. That's what this is all about. Putting information out there, putting facts out there, putting ideas out there and challenging people to think. I'm not there to hurt anyone or upset anyone. If the facts do upset them, I can't do much about it. The facts are what they are. History is what it is. Plato wrote what he wrote and sort of Jowett on his commentary on Plato's laws. I just want a better community for my children, for you guys. It's all about us. It's all about people. We all need to be involved. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you very much for your time, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.